Hey guys, welcome to the Down Under FPL talk show. My name is Brandon.
And I'm Russell. Guys, welcome back. If you're still tuning in, thank you very much for continual support of
And
us.
following us on our TikTok and our social media pages. At the end of the day, we're just having a bit of fun with this, and we enjoy watching Premier League football, and we enjoy playing a bit of FPL. So, we feel like we have a little bit to offer in terms of our opinions and ideas. And if it helps you in your FPL fantasy football leagues to win the league, then this is what we have it all here for.
Yeah, it's all here just to sort of help you out and hope that you guys are having just a little bit of fun with it. So
Definitely. Well, I think after game week 2, how did you score, Russ?
Mate, I've actually gone back. I've gone up. I've gone from having 84 in game week 1 and now 88 in game week 2. So I'm running that high, and I'm feeling pretty good. So let's see if it all comes crumbling down this week.
Well,
what about you?
I think with your squad, you've had triple Liverpool. Has been good the last 2 weeks. They both kept clean sheets, which is a rarity for Liverpool. So seeing them keep
Especially
clean
at the
sheets
start,
at the start of the season has been obviously really good for them. And then you've had some good performers, obviously with
Saka,
Saka.
and then I bought in Traore last week, so
Yep.
he performed well for me. Diogo Jota. Who else do I have? Haaland, obviously. Van de Ven. Oh man, that assist was insane.
He was sprinting. He was at top speed, full flight for that.
That's what I love of my centre backs.
For sure. So, Russ is on fire at the moment. He's winning our league at the moment. I've bumped myself up from 12th to 3rd. So, I triple captained Haaland, and I made that decision. I put all over our TikTok page about a day before it was about to happen. And, I just said, you know what, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
What better fixture than at home at the Etihad against Ipswich? And I guess we'll kind of get into our highlights of the week, though, first, and we'll talk about that. So, for me, I guess the main highlight of the week was seeing, obviously, Haaland get that triple captaincy and get back the rewards. I'm not going to lie. I was sitting there and going in self-doubt and questioning myself whether he was going to do it. But one thing I've learned in fantasy sports is that you just got to back your gut and go for it, and then it may pay off.
It may not.
Or it may not. Which, look, out of all week, people were saying that, he's going to blank against Ipswich. He wasn't going to score well. At the end of the day, the way I looked at it, and this was my decision, was Haaland was only owned by 50% of FPL managers. And I thought this is probably the best time to triple captain him before potentially everyone wildcards in game week 6 or game week 5. Yeah. And then he's going to be 70% owned or 80% owned. And then everyone's going to be captaining him most weeks. So to get a bit of a differential, and it obviously paid off. I triple captain it along with 490,000 other managers.
Yeah, geez,
so
that's a lot.
It was a good win. Ooh. I ended up scoring 91 points. I was disappointed in a couple of my Newcastle assets, and also obviously Colwell and Chelsea couldn't keep a clean sheet anyway. So unfortunately, with Murphy and a couple others, but 91 I'll take it, and now I'm on my way, and I'll make a big decision this week.
Yeah, and I mean, look, that Chelsea game, that whole entire first half was wild.
It was wild.
If you haven't had a look at it, go onto your Optus Sport or go onto whatever platform you're using and watch it, because that whole entire game is just insane.
Maybe Optus Sport can sponsor us for plugging them into this Down Under FPL talk show. So, I think some of the other aspects that we want to talk about this week. What was your highlight?
So my highlight really was obviously the hat tricks, like Madueke going and scoring that hat trick, and then Haaland scoring that hat trick. I think really just shows a bit of class from those players, so especially after what Madueke said about Wolverhampton. But look, he's come out and he's like, look, that really wasn't meant for my personal, that was meant for his personal thing, more of a joke with a couple of mates rather than going out publicly and saying, oh, this town's shit.
Which, look, to be fair, I love the banter. You had Jamie Vardy in game week 1 that was telling Tottenham fans on 1 Premier League 0-0. So, what's better? There's always, maybe game week 3, someone's going to come out there and do something else and create a bit more banter. But, those were a couple of highlights. It was good to see, obviously, Arsenal continue their winning ways. They're looking really strong.
Yeah, same as Liverpool. Both Arsenal and Liverpool at the moment are looking quite comfortable, just to start things up. But I mean, it'll be interesting. Obviously, there's Liverpool menu this week, so be interesting to see how it all goes for both of those sides.
There's a few match of the day. So I think you've got that one, which is with Liverpool, and then you've got the Newcastle Spurs this week.
And West Ham and City.
City, and then you've obviously got Arsenal and Brighton,
Yeah.
which will be a good game. And so there's some really good cracker games this week, especially coming up. But as we all know, I really think that when you look at that Arsenal game against Villa still had good chances.
Yeah, they definitely
Villa
did.
have improved, I feel like, over last season as well.
Yeah.
Especially with just their creativity in what they're able to create. Like Watkins obviously had 2 open goal chances, and Raya made an unbelievable save.
Raya's a freak. Like, he's an absolute machine, man. And I think the guy who had the highest score on FPL, he had him in there.
Yep.
Along with a couple of other absolute gems that you're like, wow, okay.
Like that team, 154 points he scored with triple captain Haaland, plus he had Son, Palmer, and a couple others, and he just carved up. And look, I think the main thing is just looking at it, saying that okay, there are a couple good number of game weeks coming up for Villa, and we'll get to that at some stage. But let's talk a bit more around that. I believe that triple captaincy, because there's so many doubts going into the whole week around. Is this the right time, or do we wait for a double game week, or do we do it?
Look, I've chosen to wait for a double game week. Whether or not I'll actually use Haaland for that double game week, I'll use maybe someone like Mo Salah potentially, who doesn't really stop playing for Liverpool. So, or I could even use it on Saka. Just depends on obviously who's got the best fixture and what my gut's telling me, really.
Yeah, well, I think there definitely will be a double game week. I just think that, there's another clash coming up against at home, but Haaland scored 10 of his hat-tricks for City all at home. He's never scored a hat-trick away.
Yeah, wow.
So there was statistics that Sky Sports put on there the other day, and they showed the most number of hat-tricks in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And Haaland's already in the 5th or 6th spot, and he's got 10 hat-tricks, and all of them are being scored at home at the Etihad.
That's insane.
So he loves playing there.
Yeah, and he loves scoring, obviously.
Which your next target would be Southampton in game week 9 if you had a chance, another triple captain.
Yeah,
Southampton, shocking, eh? They cannot score.
They don't have a lot of firepower, and I've had a look at their fixtures, and I said this to Brandon just before, and I'm going to say it now. I don't think Southampton will pick up a single point in December.
In just December?
In just December.
Or to December?
Like in December.
In December.
Right. So as soon as December starts, right, they play Liverpool on the 26th of November or something. So yeah, maybe they'll get a point against that. But then from December onwards, I just can't see it. Like their fixtures are just too good. They've got Brighton, Newcastle, City, a couple of other ones where he's just I can't see him at all.
The race for relegations between them and Everton. I think it's just coming very close.
Yeah.
And how was it? Neil Malpe posted, the Everton fans absolutely abusing them at the train station. And look, it's obviously very disgusting to see fans just give it to the players like that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they're all human beings. But I get it from the fans. They go to the games, they pay for the games, they turn up, and for you to concede 7 goals in 2 weeks and not score a goal, it's very disappointing. And
even just even their passing, their pass completion just hasn't been there at all. No. They're rushing passes, they're taking one touch and trying these stupid flicks when they can't even get a grip on the game. Get some sort of control, get some sort of calmness about your game, and then start trying the fancy flick shit.
They're missing Tarkowski bad at the back, aren't they? They're missing him, but I think with Everton, unless they can have a good window in January where they can obviously bring a couple of players in, but the FFP's restricted them hard.
Yeah, and that's another thing that people I guess don't take into account is what's happened in this off season to Everton has been absolutely monumental. They are just struggling, and they're meant to be moving into their new stadium in January.
I think they're dire times. They almost got relegated last year.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be on the cusp this year.
Yeah.
For sure, especially early in the season if they're not picking up points.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I think if Everton don't, move out of relegation by the end of December, I think Sean Dyche will go.
they'll have to make a move again. They'll have to do something that can save their season.
Yeah.
Because Everton have not gone down to the Championship in God knows how long.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I don't know, maybe over at least a decade, like 20 years, pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay, so next one. So Palmer was playing as number 10 for Chelsea. Madueke played 90 minutes on the right midfield or right wing.
Yep.
It looks like Palmer looks like he's going to be moving back into that central 10 role, which is where he scored all his FPL points all last year.
Yeah,
he delivered a 17-point haul, 3 assists and a goal.
Yeah, that's his most comfortable spot. Like, he loves the 10. He loves just getting there and being able to dictate
Definitely
the game as to what he wants, and majority of those Chelsea players know exactly what he's going to do.
I think he's a must-buy the next 6 game weeks.
Yeah.
I think now that we've seen it, we've seen where they're going to play, and Maresca's playing a very attacking brand of football now, where Poch last year, you never even knew what Poch was going to play.
Yeah, no.
It was like that, but now, obviously, if we can fix up our defence, I think we'll be better, but at the moment, we're capable of scoring goals, and we've showcased that. Well, for me, Palmer's definitely going to be coming in this week. He's a must-buy, I think, over the next few weeks at 10.5 mil. I think he can do just as good as Saka and Salah in the next 6.
Yep.
And he's got the capability on pens, does everything. So this is the perfect for him.
Yeah, and I think, like, in terms of Madueke had an absolute blinder.
All over the week.
Like, far out. Fantastic. But his goals, like, he just found that bottom
left-hand corner.
Yep. He loves it. Absolutely loves it. But I think the biggest thing for him is now getting consistency in his game. Right, you look at Palmer. Palmer was trying to get consistency at Man City, couldn't get it, went to Chelsea, started off the first 2 or 3 games like easing into it, and now he's getting into his own. Madueke, yes, played last year, but was very hot, cold. Now he just needs to try and get a consistent performance, get at least 1 goal this week, and maybe an assist, and then just continue on from there. So I wouldn't jump in on Madueke just yet, even though majority of you guys have probably gone and drafted him in. I'd just wait probably at least another week or 2.
Yeah, he's one of the most traded in this week, and I get it. He's got 20 points. He scored 3 goals, but he's not going to score 3 goals every week.
No.
And I think he's, based on his recent history, people are just chasing last week's points.
Yeah.
And that's one thing in fantasy I say, don't chase last week's points, because unless they're Salah or Palmer or any of the other main premiums, they're not going to do it every week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you're better off going and finding, this is my thing even in other fantasy sports, go and find players that are about to explode that haven't quite exploded yet. Because if you can get on them before everyone else gets on them, then you're 1 or 2 weeks ahead of them. And then you can start focusing on other picks in other areas. Like this week, for example, Mbeumo's got Southampton.
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah.
You
have to get one of those 2, Mbeumo or Wisa.
Or one of the 2, right? And look, Mbeumo's on pens, or Wisa is 6 mil, and they do come into some hard fixtures. They've got, obviously, I think it was after this weekend, I think they go and play one of the top big clubs.
Yep.
Which doesn't make it any easier. But if you could sit potentially, so Brentford have where have they got? They've got Man City next week, which isn't great, and then I think they go into playing Tottenham after that. But in saying that, Tottenham aren't the most defensive, convincingly defensive. So you could pick up Mbeumo this week at 7 mil. He could score really well. He could explode. Then you could bench him against City. Play him against Tottenham if you wanted, because there's a chance that he might score. And then after that, they go into game week 6, when a lot of people are going to bring him in. Was going to be they got West Ham at home, and then they play Wolves.
Yeah.
And then they've got, after that, then they've got Manchester United again. So I think he's a good value at 7 mil.
Yeah, definitely a good value.
And Wisa at 6.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, obviously, a point of benching a player and then putting them back in the next game week. Don't just get there and go take a 4-point hit or an 8-point hit thinking, oh yeah, okay, let's just take this hit and then we'll see how we go. Just put them on the bench, bring in someone, and then see how they go. I'm going to do that this week for João Pedro.
We got Rodgers, right?
Yep, I've got Rodgers there. Rodgers is playing against Leicester.
Yeah, he's got Leicester. And Villa's got a great run of fixtures.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring in Rodgers. Rodgers is going to be my 5 in the midfield. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to take out
João Pedro. Because then João Pedro next week has Ipswich.
Yep.
After that.
Yep.
So
and then back in.
You could rotate them. I think João Pedro and Rodgers probably are 2 really good combinations of players that are playing every week.
Yep.
And for those that didn't get on Welbeck, like many of us didn't, and I think he's been outstanding the last few weeks. João Pedro is probably your next best, but at the same time, you know, that comes to a different topic of what your strategy is going to be at the end of the year. But yeah, Palmer, I think obviously definitely essential coming in these next few game weeks.
Yep.
Okay, so Ollie Watkins is a play potentially over the next 4 weeks. A lot of people are transferring him out. I'm waiting at least until almost deadline day to see if his price drops by 0.1.
Yep.
Because there's been a lot of transfers of him over the last 2 rounds, 2 game weeks as well, of people transferring because they're disappointed that he hasn't scored.
Yeah.
But he's got some of the best fixtures.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Villa have, I think, the next best 4 fixtures coming up.
Their fixture rating is probably a 2, if anything. It's
they're looking quite good. And I think, Watkins, we picked him as bust of the week for game week 1.
Which were correct.
Which were, bang on. But now you got to start looking at the fixtures. Now you really have to pay attention. Okay, what's the next 3 or the next 5? You know, and you start just planning ahead of that.
Definitely. Well, you look at his fixtures. He goes Leicester, Everton, then he goes Wolves, and then in game week 6, then he's got Ipswich.
Yeah.
He's playing all the teams that are conceding the most amount of goals right now that are not in form. And Villa have been playing. I saw they played alright against Arsenal. When he went off the pitch at 60 minutes or 65, Villa went to shit. Yeah. Villa struggled hard. Like Duran came on, they lacked that go forward, and then Arsenal just rolled over the top when Trossard came on, and also all the other substitutions.
Yeah. But Duran nearly had a goal as well.
Nearly close. Yeah, close.
That was close.
So look, I think Villa.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely keep Watkins. I think.
I think keep him. I'm not going to bring him in this week for Isak, just purely because Isak obviously hasn't performed in the last few weeks, and he's had 2 really good fixtures.
Yeah.
So he's got Tottenham this week, which he could definitely score, but I don't think in this moving forward in FPL now, because there's so many good midfielders that you can go 3 up front.
Yeah, exactly.
It's making it really hard to do 3 strikers, like premiums.
Yeah.
Because you've got Palmer, Saka, Salah, KDB. You've even got Jota. You've even got Son.
Yeah, Sonny's insane.
It's too hard to play 3 forwards up front.
Yeah.
When you've got those options.
Yeah, it's pretty much like having Haaland and then having maybe 1 6 mil defender and then just have a 4 mil nothing sort of attacker.
Yeah, play 2 up front.
And that, just play 2 up front
and rotate them out.
Yeah, have yourself a Chris Wood or a João Pedro or a who was the other one we were talking about?
You got Wisa.
Wisa.
Yep, and then you've even got Muniz as well at the moment. He's got a great fixture this week against Ipswich.
Yep.
So, I think there's other options there, especially at the Vardy, if you want to pick up Vardy at 5.6. You've even got Evaluation from Bournemouth.
From Bournemouth, who's just
6 mil. So you've got options, and you even got Havertz at 8 mil, 8.1.
Yeah.
Look, I reckon he's a great option.
Yeah.
For an Arsenal attacker.
For sure. Because he'll score, or we'll be in the mix.
And he's obviously the number 1, number 9 now. Yeah. Arteta's come out and say that he's happy with Kai playing up front, and he likes it. So I think he's a good option now.
Yeah.
At that price.
Jesus is close to coming back as well, so he's getting back on the park soon. But I think like Jesus will be that bench.
Yeah, which you won't like.
Impacts up. No, definitely not.
Okay, so Watkins definitely a buy for this week and the next 4 weeks. I think he's going to deliver some really good attacking returns. He had 19 goals and I think 19 or 18 assists last year.
Yeah.
The most of any striker assists.
Yeah.
And that was insane. I don't think this year he's going to get as many assists, but I do think he's going to get just as many goals. Because he's up front for them.
Yeah, exactly. And he's a goal scoring machine. He's just an absolute weapon. I'm just going to quickly just throw out to that Man City game. All right. I don't understand why that Ipswich keeper took the touches he did, why he tried to just take on the defence for whatever the attack for whatever reason, rather than one touch, clear the hell out of the ball, man. You're playing in the Premier League. Whoever, was it Muric?
Muric, yeah.
Right? Get Muric out, and then I think Walton is the other keeper. Bring him in, for this week. He needs to know that you can't do stuff like that in the Premier League because you will get punished, and just like they did. So,
well, I think looking at their team, I think Muric obviously didn't do that well. He's got 0 points in FPL.
Yeah.
At the moment, Walton played Walton. It was Walton.
Walton?
Walton played. So Walton was the one. So apologies to Muric.
Apologies, Muric.
Muric is the one I think they might bring in.
Footmob lied to me. Footmob
might-
said that it was Muric in goals.
They might bring Muric in goals as of this game.
Yep.
No, sorry, Muric did play against Ipswich. So Walton played the first game, and then Muric played the second game. So maybe they'll rotate their keepers and go back to Walton again.
Oh no,
Or-
this one conceded too.
Or they've got one more keeper. They've got Kieran Slicker. So Slicker, mate,
Slicker.
you're the next man up. So
Oh God, with a name like Slicker, jeez, I don't know if you want him in goals. Like
slick
hands, maybe.
Slick hands, yeah. So, unfortunately, that was just going to happen. But
Yeah.
credit to Ipswich, they scored the first goal.
Yeah,
Samotic,
it was a good goal
which
too.
he's a goal scorer. Like he's at 6 mil and he's in the midfield. It looks like he's going to start most weeks, and he's a good pod. I think he's a good differential.
Yeah, and look, Ipswich definitely have the capability in their team to actually perform well. Like you saw how they played their first half against Liverpool, and they looked good. They created chances. Murray Hutchinson's an absolute weapon. I've said it in game week 1, and then Leif Davis will eventually start getting in. But they've also got I think it was Johnson.
Yeah, they do have Johnson.
Yeah.
They've got all these guys here. But I think the main thing is they've made good signings in the transfer window.
Yeah.
As I said, Samotic is a goal scorer, so they've actually got someone there that can score. It's very similar like in Mitrovic, right? Like when Mitrovic was playing. Like it reminds me of Mitrovic where he comes in and he'll just bag some goals and score. So at 6 mil in the midfield, you don't have to worry too much about clean sheets. Like it's just about him scoring goals.
Yeah.
He could be someone that you could rotate on with Rogers or rotate with Semenyo or rotate with like Minte, any of these kind of guys at that price point. So he's a bit of value there, and he obviously scored. But credit to obviously Manchester City, they came back with a vengeance, and Haaland scored within another 6 minutes later.
Was it like 4 goals in 4 goals in 15 minutes?
Something like that.
18 minutes?
Something like that. It was unbelievable. Well, he scored his hat-trick, obviously, at the 89th minute. It took an hour for another goal to come.
Yeah.
And his goal. But even KDB, like I've said it at pre-season, I think he's back to where he's at his best. And now he's 9.6 mil. He's gone up by 0.1. He scored 12 points. Got second in that game in terms of most points. And he had an assist and he had a goal. He's passed to Haaland on the second Haaland goal.
Nice.
Like just from the sideline and just whipped it right in through the middle. It was just that's
phenomenal.
typical KDB.
Yeah. That's
Like,
standard, right?
typical.
That's the kind of level that, when Gerrard, Lampard,
Got it on a string.
even Giggsy, right? Like, just had it on a string and they could do whatever they want with the ball. KDB, is definitely up there with all those.
He's so essential to their side, and this is why I think, as that they had Foden at the beginning, made a mistake thinking that Foden was going to do the same thing he did last year.
Yeah.
Because KDB was out for so long, so Foden had to play a role, which was 10. He knows how to play 10.
Yeah.
But there's no way in the world Pep's going to not put KDB in that spot. KDB played 89 minutes again. He's just essential to their attack. And I think because he's so technical and he knows how to pass, he's got one of the best passes in their team. He's just feeding Haaland.
Absolutely.
Through the middle, feeding.
Absolutely.
And then you've got Savinho that's going better and better every week.
Yeah.
He's outstanding.
It turns out, I guess, the fact that they sold Alvarez is probably a good thing, as great as Alvarez was, I think he...
80 mil for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that they've done the smart thing in terms of bringing in another winger to facilitate on that right side. They've got Doku, because Grealish is... I don't know.
Looks out of favour at the moment. Obviously looks out of favour. I think they're playing these two out there, and but it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the City lineup. They've got Gundogan back now, so how that affects minutes around, we'll soon see in the next few weeks.
Yep.
But it's a long season. Long season.
You've got Champions League coming in as well, so as soon as Champions League's back, I think that's where we're going to see a lot of rotation. You're probably not going to get as many points as what you think because teams won't have the players that you have. So
definitely,
be patient.
Be patient.
Don't just as soon as Champions League starts, just be like, all right, I've had a bad game week, I'm done. Just continue on.
Okay, so going on to Arsenal. So are their next fixtures as tough as what people think? So they go into the next 4. They've got Brighton this week. Then they've got who they got next week. So they've got Brighton this week. Then they've got Tottenham next week away.
City.
Then they've got City and then they go into Arsenal, Leicester at home.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Could be worse, to be honest. Like, could be a lot worse. I feel like, Arsenal know how to play against Manchester City. That they know how to play against Tottenham. They know what to do to sort of like find the weaknesses in that side. Brighton are a hard team to predict. I think the hardest games out of those four is Brighton and City. Tottenham, all credit to Ange though, but like
Arteta's like they look like they're not even out of first gear yet. When you watch them, and going to Aston Villa, winning 2-0 when they lost both games last year against Villa is it just shows their improvement as a side. And you look at Brighton. I had a look at this, and the last 3 times they played Brighton, they've won 3-0, 2-0, 3-0.
Yeah.
So they've actually kept Brighton scoreless in the last 3 clashes, and they've scored over 2 goals.
Yeah.
So I think Arsenal know how to play against Brighton. So I can see Arsenal winning this game.
Yeah, I definitely think, like, for me, you look at game week 8 to game week 11. They have Bournemouth, Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea.
It's a bit of a harder run of fixtures.
Yeah. Like, I feel like those 3 are harder back-to-back than going Brighton, Tottenham, Man City.
Yeah, especially this time of the year. Like, it's funny, if Arsenal can win all these games, even draw with City, they're well on the way to winning the Premier League, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, like, those fixtures in game week 8, you've got Champions League starting up too.
You got Champions League. So now's a good time to have Arsenal assets, I still feel. Like, most people will say don't get some of them. Like, I had Odegaard, he's slow start. He hasn't got any assists. He's definitely going to be going out of my side, just purely on the basis that I think Saka's the main man, and Havertz. That's where the goals are going to come from. And not to say Odegaard won't do well, but I think first 2 fixtures I expected him to do a little bit better at 8.5 mil, and it's just wasted money there sitting there, waiting for him to obviously fire. But Arsenal's next 4, I think they're really good fixtures. I think you can definitely keep Arsenal assets.
Yep.
They will keep clean sheets still. I think this week they might even keep another one.
Yeah, very true.
Maybe.
We'll wait and see. Minte, I think it's Minte is playing for Brighton.
Yeah, Minte's been on the right.
Make sure I don't stuff up the names again.
He's been playing good. I think Solly March comes back on the 15th of September, so he plays right. I don't know how it's going to work in their lineup. Yeah. I don't know if maybe Solly's on the way up, but Solly was good for them last year.
Done well. But whether or not that was because he was getting the feeding through Pascal Gross,
Roberto. What's his name? The coach from last year,
De
Zerbi. Yeah, he probably loved him. There's a new coach now.
Yep.
So where Minte's been playing a lot of minutes. So not too bad fixtures. Okay, so Russ, what are we going to do with Eze and Nkunku?
Look, I think with Eze, like, bide your time with Eze because they've got Leicester and then they've got Man U, Everton.
So they got Chelsea this week.
They got Chelsea this week. Sorry.
And then they go on to Leicester,
Man U, Everton. So their next 4.
Pretty good.
Yeah. And obviously Chelsea do have a bit of a leaky defence, so whether or not Eze can actually go for it. I think Eze hit the post like 2-3 times on the weekend too. So like he's getting there. He will score. I think keep him there.
Yep.
Keep him in your side. Just put him on your bench. As for Nkunku, I'd get rid of him.
Sell. I think just too uncertain with minutes, where he's going to play. Chelsea have now almost, unless he's playing number 9 and playing up where Jackson was, we could say, okay, that's probably the only place I see in Chelsea's side where he could play consistent minutes every week, up front. But Jackson is obviously preferred. But I think Nkunku can play as 10, he can play as left winger, he can play right winger, he can play up front. So Maresca came out and spoke about the versatility his players can play in different positions, and I think there's going to be that rotation similar to what Pep has. But sell Nkunku. He's already dropped in price. Offload him to someone like a Smith Rowe that's going to consistently play. He's gone up to 5.6. He's going to play as the number 10. He scored a goal.
He's got some good fixtures for the next 4.
Definitely.
Smith Rowe. He's got Ipswich, West Ham, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest.
Definitely. And the fact that he's playing 10 and playing up front, he's played 65 and 68 minutes, so they're building his minutes every week. So I think within the next 2 or 3 game weeks, you'll probably start to see him play, I reckon, 80-plus minutes every week, which will be good. So I think with Eze, keep him. I had a look at statistics. So Crystal Palace have only ever won 2 games away at Stamford Bridge in 30 games.
Wow.
So out of 30 games they played each other, Crystal Palace and Chelsea, Crystal Palace have only won 2 away games,
Yeah.
and they've only won 2 home games,
Yeah.
and they've drawn 2.
Let's win a third. No.
So Chelsea have won 24 games out of 30 against Crystal Palace. So I think, look, you could probably play Eze this week if you wanted to, but if you have someone like a Rodgers, I'd probably just switch and play Rodgers this week, and then they play, what is it, Leicester after that?
Yeah.
That's when you want to play Eze.
Yeah.
Eze, Crystal Palace at home, play Eze, and then I would look at even the week after. You could definitely play him against Man United. Who knows what's going to happen there?
Yeah, I think you also got to keep in mind
And you got Everton.
is some teams are playing the EFL Cup as of tomorrow.
Oh, they would.
Yeah.
They would, so.
Yeah, so there might be a little bit of rotation there because obviously people don't like some managers don't like playing their stars in these EFL Cup matches. So
they don't want it.
But if they need to, then they will. So
we'll see what happens.
It's a wait and see.
Wait and see, I think, with all of it. But I think even with someone like, if you were going to get rid of an Eze, you want someone more secure, like a Jota, or you want a Gordon, or you want someone that can give you points consistently, or drop them down to someone like a Smith Rowe that can give you those delivers returns. So, okay, next one. So what do you think the best strategy now is after the first 2 game weeks for FPL?
Yeah, look, I don't really... for me, I'm looking just at the next 3 games. I'm always looking at the next 3 to 5 games. I'm just trying to plan around that. I don't really have a set strategy. I'm just trying to figure out now more so where I'm going to use my wild card. Because obviously I'm looking at game week 8, right? Game week 9, sorry. Where Liverpool have Arsenal, right? But Southampton play Man City at the Etihad. You've got Man U playing West Ham. Spurs play Crystal Palace. It's a little bit up and down with game week 8, game week 9, which is why the second part I was looking at was where the double game week comes in, right? Because you've got a fixture on the 27th and then another fixture on the 30th. I feel like that is going to be a double game week, all right? And then that's where, your Arsenal plays Ipswich and Brentford. You've got Chelsea who plays Fulham, then Ipswich. Liverpool play Leicester, West Ham. I think that game week 18, 19, I think will be probably the best time for it because even Spurs have Nottingham Forest and Wolves.
Oh, for
They're
sure.
probably the perfect time for Dom Solanke to get back in. And then there's no FA Cup around then. There's no Champions League around then. So everything's just going to be straight into that Prem focus. So that's one thing in game week 18.
Yeah.
But, as for strategy, I'm taking it
week by week.
Yeah, week by week, really.
See how he goes.
Yeah,
you're scoring really well, so I guess you don't really have to change too much when you're scoring really well. It's just having an eye for the future as to maybe what you're going to do with your planning in the next few weeks because you're in a great position.
Yeah.
So it's okay, now you want to make sure you just capitalise on that points advantage in the early stages of the season. So for me, I've looked at the strategy this year and I've actually wildcarded this week. So I've wildcarded. I've seen enough within the first 2 game weeks to look at my side and realise, okay, I've used my triple captaincy on Haaland last week. I've wildcarded because I think I've seen enough of what teams are doing. I think Palmer's going to be essential. I think Saka's essential. I think you look at even defenders. In terms of premium defenders, apart from Trent, I don't think you need to have as premium right now. Early on, you can maybe save a bit of money. And even with strategy, I went with the 3 premium forwards up front. I went with Isak, Solanke, and Haaland, and they haven't quite delivered. Haaland's delivered, but Isak and Solanke haven't, and they're a lot of money just sitting up top, sitting there doing nothing. So for me, I feel like with such premium options, I would rather go 1 or 2 strikers up top, and play 3 premium midfielders with Haaland up top. And then at the defence, just try and find some good $4.5 million defenders with potentially having a Trent in there and just kind of riding that in. So I'm trying to look at banking a lot of transfers in the next 3 or 4 game weeks.
Yeah.
Now I've wildcarded, so I want to try and get 4 to 5 free transfers to play. So basically when everyone wants to transfer in game week 6, 7 or 8, I've got 5 transfers to make where I could potentially almost change
Yeah, for sure.
basically my whole side.
Yeah, and that's what I guess. Like for me, I'm going to look at doing the same as just trying to save up some transfers now until game week 7 or 8.
Where you can make a move.
Yeah.
So that's a play here. Many people might be going, you're stupid using your wild card now, but I used a triple captaincy. It worked out last week.
Mate, there were some people who used their wild card last week.
In game week 2 because they stuffed their team.
Because they completely ruined their team. They're like, all right, cool. Let's do this now and fix it up.
Yeah.
So, which
it works. Because you don't want to take hits early in the season. I just saw all week when people were saying, you know, when Solanke was out, should I take a -4 to go and get someone out? Or, you know, should I do anything else? And I just thought, nah, instead of me taking a -4 last week to get rid of Solanke, I actually wildcarded once it was deadline day locked out.
Yeah.
So then I could actually just start all week trying to move my side around this week to figure out who I wanted. And, yeah, so then I could capitalize on the points rises. So now, even with the wild card, there's players that are increasing in price. So I'm looking at the transfer updates every day, and I'm actually switching those players into my side to try and capitalize on those points price rises. So then when I get rid of them, maybe I've got a little bit more in the bank.
Yeah, absolutely.
So little things to work on, but I think that's what I'm going for. We'll see if it all works out.
Yeah.
In the end. Okay, so one topic I want to talk about. So who are the best 5.5 midfield options right now? Who do you think? Smith Rowe's obviously gone up to 5.6 now.
So I guess him.
I'll talk about one. So
I actually haven't had a look at who the 5.5 midfielders are.
Semenyo from Bournemouth.
Yep.
Last 2 game weeks, he's gone 8 in the first one, and then he went 6 in the second. He's played 90 minutes both games. He played up front in the first game. They just signed the Brazilian Valianson, so he started.
Yep.
And then Semenyo played on the right, and he played 90 minutes. Now, Semenyo in both games has had over 5 shots in the box.
Yeah.
So he's actually still shooting even though he's playing on the right. And Bournemouth are defending well. They're playing well. At 5.5 mil, I think he's got the capability of delivering some returns.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I mean, and that's the thing. I think Bournemouth, they've been very smart with their transfers. They've brought in some good quality. They are also on the verge of bringing in another keeper. I'm trying to think.
I'm pretty sure they're trying to bring in either Ramsdale or Kepa. Really?
I'm pretty sure I've just recently seen something about Kepa maybe going to Bournemouth.
Wow.
So, could be wrong. It might not be Bournemouth. Everyone here knows what I'm like with names and what I'm like with teams. So, but I guess 5.5, you look at Kovacic, yes, Pep's rotation obviously does him dirty a little bit there. Kovacic is quite good. You pointed out during the week, Tavernier had absolute...
Got 3 bonus points, scored a goal. I think overall Tavernier's got goals in him too. I think where the goals are going to come for Bournemouth are going to be Semenyo, Tavernier, and probably a Valianson. Like Clover probably won't score too many, but I feel like Semenyo is their main Saka in their team. You know what I mean? Like that person that's going to be on the right, that's going to come in the box, that's going to shoot and create assists and score goals. So I think at 5.5 mil, at the end of the day, you want your premiums, but we can't have everyone.
Yeah.
And you've got to find these type of guys that can do a job.
Yeah. And I think, you look at Brighton. Brighton have Adingra.
And Minte.
And Minte has actually, gone that, they've been doing quite well.
Definitely. Well, Minte, in his last 2 fixtures, he's been playing really big minutes as well. Let me have a quick look. So Minte is 5.5 million. He's scored 4 and 2, but in both games first game played 45 minutes, and then the second game he played 89 minutes.
Yeah.
So he's building his minutes. They play Arsenal this week, so I'd probably wait a week.
Yep.
But then they go into Ipswich and then Nottingham Forest, and he could definitely score some good points there.
I've been looking at Jacob Ramsey as well for Aston Villa, right? Even though obviously what Arsenal did to Aston Villa, Jacob Ramsey actually popped up with a couple of good moments and shining moments for that. So,
well, he's played 28 and 25 minutes. So if he gets the minutes,
if he gets the minutes, he's probably someone to have as a good super sub.
Because John McGinn's been playing starting every week.
Yep.
And John McGinn's playing 60 odd minutes.
Yep. And then you've got Yuri Tillemans who plays.
Yep. Basically 90 minutes every week.
Yeah. But he's at CDM.
Yeah, he
so
is.
He won't create much.
But they've got good fixtures. I think Fatawu from Leicester. Both games he's played 90 minutes on the right. I think he's just as good.
Yeah.
I'm looking at creativity and you look at Leicester and they've got to score goals from somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's on 10 points. He scored 8 in the first game, 2 in the second. And I think one of the main things, if you even look at his game against Leicester, is based on his XG. He only had one shot. He didn't really do too much against Fulham. But I think at the same time, like they played Vardy up front. They had Jordan Ayew just sign.
Yep.
Like the goals have got to come from somewhere, and I feel like it's going to come from him and Vardy.
Yeah.
Because on the left, who plays on the left for them? They've only got
Barnes.
No, Barnes is at Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Oliver Skip's gone there. They've obviously got James Justin at the back. But
left.
Yeah, I don't mind him as an option at 5.5. Another one that we haven't really spoke about is Alex Iwobi.
Yeah.
From Fulham.
Yeah.
Both games has played 90 minutes. He's playing on the right. No, he's playing on the left mid.
Yep. He is, so
Two good fixtures this week.
Yeah, and I think he played a fair bit of right side.
Yeah, he did when Adama was potentially out. But even looking at the fixtures, he's not too bad. Like he's got potential in him. I think he's another option there. But I think if you were going to go for a 5.5 at that price, you'd probably go for like a Smith Rowe or even some of the others. I think Semenyo's probably better.
Yeah.
Based on their attacking capability. But it's a good, interesting price point because then you go down to the 5 million price point and you've got Diallo.
Yeah.
No one knows if he's going to keep starting or not.
Yeah.
But he just keeps starting. So
because he's playing ahead of Garnacho.
He is.
Which is interesting to see. And that's the thing. They earmarked Diallo three years ago when they signed him. Right. I think they signed him as a 16, 17-year-old. And you could see from his first game he actually had that little bit of spark and everything. And then he went out on loan. He applied his trade. He obviously worked on the things he needed. And then he's just come back and he's actually looking like a really solid player.
Oh, he's looking good. And the fact that he's starting over Garnacho and Garnacho's coming on for either Rashford, like he scored a goal against Brighton.
Yeah.
It shows that Ten Hag thinks very, very highly of him.
Yeah.
Very highly of him. So at 5 million for a Manchester United winger, pretty good. I think Garnacho's pretty hard done by not starting. I think he needs to be starting in some way.
Yeah.
Both times he's come on,
you watch him start against
him
start against Liverpool and go and score like 2 goals or something.
Probably. Early in the season, they could be managing him a little bit and just trying to get him through.
Yeah, well, because he had Copa America, didn't he?
He did. So, I'd wait and see one more week on Diallo because they've got this week Liverpool. See what happens with the starting lineup. But at 5 million, I think he's going to be someone that's too good to pass up if he keeps starting every week.
Yeah.
And playing. It's just that they've got Anthony, they've got Garnacho, they've got all these guys. Like Jadon Sancho's on his way out. And he's
after all the rubbish that he went through with Ten Hag, and now he's just not really getting the start.
He should have tried to leave in the transfer window earlier.
Exactly.
Like he should have
gone back to Dortmund.
He should have knew.
Like
he should have knew overall. So
another one, I guess, that I'd like to point out is Matthias Jensen. All right, if you look at Jensen, the way that I'm fairly certain he was the most consistent in the last 10 games for Brentford last year, and in terms of fantasy, he was getting plenty of points.
He did all right.
So,
he did good. Where's he playing? The central midfield?
Yeah, he's playing more of like a sort of right midfield.
Yep.
But then, I think sometimes the way the Brentford go, they'll go into sort of like 2 DMs and then 2 attacking mids. But yeah, Jensen I think is very, very good. He's a big opportunities creator.
Oh, for sure. So, and then you've got Souček for West Ham.
Yeah,
it's been 2 weeks in a row. Mate. Been love and life for him.
Yeah.
But I think, look, with these central midfielders like him, sometimes it's a bit of luck. Early in the season. It's early season vibes. Everyone jumps on. It's like the Motorwakey. Everyone's just jumping on because of fixtures, and he played 90 minutes.
Yeah.
But just wait a week. It's not going to hurt you to wait a week or 2.
You never know. All these players that we just spoke about.
They might fire.
Yep. Or they could just go to shit.
Or go to shit. One of the two. Like, they could do terrible. But even then, I think you highlighted there was a $4 million defender from Aston Villa that might end up starting.
So I've actually gone and brought it in.
Costa.
Brought it in. Yeah, Costa.
Big last name.
His name. Yep.
Right back for Aston Villa.
Nedeljkovic.
Yep.
Not or whatever. However you say it.
So Matty Cash, I was watching this live
It's
at
it.
2 in the morning.
Yep.
He obviously pulled up with a hamstring problem, and for us working in sport, we realise that these hamstring injuries are very fiddly and niggly like that, and it looked pretty bad to me when I saw it. He came straight off, so he couldn't even run.
Yeah.
So that to me tells, like they say, he's a 75% chance of playing, but I just really can't see that happening.
I reckon, 2-week minimum.
2 weeks minimum, and then if it's depending on scans, I don't know if they've done scans already and confirmed what it is. We'll find out later this week, but I would say minimum 2 weeks. If anything, it would be potentially anywhere from 4 to 6.
Yeah, was he holding higher up?
He was.
Holding?
Yeah, he's kind of holding just around the hamstring, but
in that middle.
even then, hamstrings take minimum 2 weeks to heal. So there's get Costa on your side. There's no way Matty Cash is going to be turning up this weekend to play, or next week, for that matter, in my opinion. I think he came straight off. He'll be out for a few weeks, maybe even a month.
So I'm hoping Costa can get me a couple of points. So potentially might be taking Dunk off for us
this week
for him. So
for this week, yep.
Yeah,
Because
for
everyone's
this
got Barco, so now I get the wild card. I'll get rid of Barco out of my side. So I'm going to bring Costa in because FaZe is the other 4 million defender. He scored a goal
for Leicester.
But there's talks that he publicly that he wants to leave Leicester. So what does that mean? Well, there's not long left in the transfer window. We've got literally 3-4 days.
Yep.
So if anything, he may not get a move this transfer window, but I'd probably go Costa because you don't want to play your 4 million defenders anyway. You want to play them for certain game weeks, and then there's other options as well. Like Aina dropped in price. He went from 4.5 to 4.4, and he killed owners that sold him because he got 9 points, 3 bonus points.
And everyone would have been absolutely spitting
and
chips.
They panicked. They panicked, and I'm looking at bringing him in this week in the wild card because he's got great fixtures too.
Yeah.
And Forest, they're actually defending very well.
Yeah, Forest are going good. Like everyone was like, how have Forest gone and bought in 14 different players? 14.
I know, it's
That's
crazy.
a lot. It's a whole damn squad.
It's a whole squad. So, and even you talked about Wan-Bissaka. He was doing well at 4.5 mil. So. There's a few wing backs like Mazraoui's still performing.
Yeah, Mazraoui's insane.
Yeah, he had an assist, I think, again on the weekend. They've even got who else at 4.5 mil? Leif Davis should obviously start doing well soon.
Yeah, he'll start coming into his own, right? Like it's one of those things where with Ipswich, you just got to give him time. To start.
So there's plenty of options.
Results.
There's plenty of options at those price points.
Yep.
So it asks the question saying like, do you need your premium defenders because they've got Munoz from 5 mil? He's at Crystal Palace. You got, other options. Rico Lewis has been starting at 4.5 mil.
And he's been starting as a CDM.
And he's playing inverted.
Yeah.
So he's almost scored 2 goals in 2 games and he's hit the crossbar twice.
So I guess for FPL managers and people who are obsessed with FPL, you want to hope that Rodri stays out.
Well, yeah, to an extent, but I think he'll be back soon. Gundogan's obviously come as well, so the question is where they're going to play Silva, Gundogan, Foden.
Or maybe Rico Lewis gets a break.
Maybe.
And Gundogan will just come straight back into that side.
Probably at this stage, but I think obviously he's been performing.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of options. I've had Guardiola and he's done all right in the last 2 weeks, but I think now, compared to last year, he's not playing inverted.
Yeah.
He's playing just on the left, and he's not overlapping Doku either.
Yeah.
So he's actually more just playing as like a left central defender.
Yeah. And Gundogan's on already at 6.5 mil.
Yeah, 6.5. So he's not too
6.5
bad.
mil. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I'll just wait and see on where he plays.
Yeah.
In terms of minutes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm thinking for the next probably next week. If I use a transfer, I'll wait and see how Gundogan goes this week, and then maybe I might bring him in.
Oh, for sure.
I think he's just someone who just controls the game. He can get City clean sheets with his work rate defensively. So
definitely. All right. So last one, we'll go with our ball of the week. Who have you got, Ross?
Ball of the week. I have Mo Salah. Okay. Now, Mo Salah is playing against Man United. It's at Old Trafford. But at Old Trafford, in his last 4 games, he scored 6 goals.
Yeah, he loves playing Manchester United.
Overall in Premier League, in his last 6 Premier League games, Salah scored 9 goals. So he has goals there, and I think he loves this fixture. He loves the hostility. It just brings out a different beast in him, right? I think he's definitely up there. Otherwise, I'd probably be looking at Palmer.
Yeah. This week, I think, like in terms of my ball of the week, I'm probably looking at even going someone from, yeah, like Palmer looks pretty tempting based on that kind of week. I think he'd be pretty good.
Or you could go Smith Rowe.
Could go that too. You could go that too. There's a couple options. I think it'll be a good clash, obviously between even Villa. I'm going to say my baller of the week is going to be Leon Bailey.
Leon Bailey.
From Villa. So I think he'll finally crack that goal duck and he'll get one this week.
I love Bailey. He's so
he's good. He's good. So I think he'll get one this week. Who's your bust of the week?
My bust of the week, I've gone with Alex Isak.
Yeah, against...
he's had a very slow start. He's just not... I don't know what's going on in his head, but he's just not executing the way that everyone sort of expected to, whether or not he's feeling too much expectation. Maybe he just needs a week off the bench, to come on, maybe against Spurs, and then, I don't know, just wait and see. So, but normally, I guess with my ballers and bust of the week, I got Garnacho right last week.
Yeah.
Thanks, Josh Xerxes. I appreciate you sticking your leg out while the ball was going in the goal.
Yeah, I didn't get my bust of the week with Saka. He got an assist, but I got the baller. Haaland obviously did very well, so I'm 3 out of 4.
Yeah, I feel like my ball of the weeks just go.
Yeah, they go down. So we'll see.
I said Chris Wood, and look at what he did.
Yeah, I know you just scored 1 point. He did absolutely nothing.
And then that first week.
Yeah, look,
first week.
My bust of the week this week, I'm going to target towards that Manchester United and Liverpool game. I think, the bust this week is going to be Virgil van Dijk.
Verge, okay.
Big Verge. I think he's going to have a blunder. I reckon he's going to let a goal in. He's going to trip a pen. I don't know. He's going to do something. Yeah. He's got it in him.
He'll push someone.
He'll do something wrong.
Xerxes will stop and then Virgil will be like, wait, get out of my way. And then all of a sudden, Howard Webb.
This is I think you got Cucurella in the first, when you said Cucurella in the first week.
Yep.
But I'm going Verge this week. I think he has it in him. He has it in him. So
that's fair.
Let's see.
I like a little bit of advance.
Yeah. All right. So that's probably our episode for today. Thanks for obviously joining us on the FPL Down Under Talk Show. Please tune in, subscribe, get amongst it. We talk about this every week. And please go to our TikTok. We got some hilarious bants on that as well going. And even some of our tips, we just post them directly on TikTok too. But if you're following our YouTube, thanks for supporting us. We will continue to keep posting every single week.
Yep.
And we have to build a community.
Share it all with your mates, just get there, but check out these idiots.
Yeah, check us out.
I've got no issue, just sharing. I've gone and shared it on a couple of FPL Facebook pages, just to be like, hey, check out 2 rookies giving it a go.
Yeah, 2 Aussie pundits.
Yeah, but guys, thank you very much for your support. Thanks for everything. If you have any questions, feel free to send them in to us, and then we can talk about it each week.
Definitely.
Check out our reels and make sure you keep commenting everything on our TikToks.
Definitely. We'll see you next time, guys, on the FPL Down Under Talk Show.
Thanks, guys.